And the eyes of both were opened, and they realized that they were naked. And they sewed together the leaf of the fig tree and made loincloths for themselves.
So now we've got this shame that comes into the picture. And this was when after they ate of the tree, the couple, who's a symbolic couple, began to feel this sort of shame. They were naked before, but it didn't really bug them. But now they made these little suits out of leaves. And this nakedness was the beginning of judgment. Because, as Swedenborg says, God doesn't judge people, but once you start to leave love behind, you start to come into judging. Divine Providence 3:21 is about how God is not interested in pointing out people's faults. He's just interested in getting good things to people. Divine Providence is not charging anyone with evil. Divine Providence, by the way, being God's government of the universe. Divine Providence is not charging anyone with evil or crediting anyone with good. Rather, our own prudence is making each of these claims. This follows from everything that has just been said. The goal of Divine Providence is goodness. That is what it is aiming at in everything it does, so it does not credit anyone with goodness, because that would make our goodness self-serving, and it does not charge anyone with evil, because that would make us guilty of evil. We make both these claims out of our own sense of independence, because this sense of ours is nothing but evil. The claim to independence of our volition is self-love, and the claim to independence of our discernment is pride in our own intelligence. This is where our own prudence comes from. So he's talking about this sense of independence in the fallen state, which is where, hey, I'm so much smarter than everyone else, and everyone should serve me. Those are once you have those things in you, you start to look for flaws in other people and in yourself. God isn't looking for flaws like that. He doesn't care how good somebody is or how bad someone is. We're just trying to help them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you scored 1 million goodness points or you're down negative 20,000. We're just trying to help you. We're trying to lead you on the good path. So this whole shame thing started once people started to judge. All right? And then after they got ashamed, they heard God coming and they decided to book it out of there. So let's take a look.
And they heard the voice of Jehovah God going alone in the garden at the breeze of the day. And the human hid himself, as did his wife, from Jehovah God's face, in the middle of the tree of the garden.
At the breeze of the day, I think that's a great phrase. And so what does it mean? What is this hiding from God? Is God angry? Here you have, an image of God or angels moving through the garden, and they're hiding away. So Swedenborg says that it's not always as it appears, in the sense of the letter. He writes in Secrets of Heaven 2:23, God is not making an angry face at them. Since the Lord's face is mercy, peace, and everything good, it is clear that he never looks at anyone except with mercy and never turns his face from anyone. It is we, when we are wrapped up in evil, who turn our faces away. Mercy, peace, and all that is good, Jehovah's face, are what give rise to the inner call in the case of those who have perception, and those who have conscience too, but in a different way. These qualities always operate in a compassionate manner, but the way we receive them depends on our state. As we go through this, I'm noticing there are so many Swedenborgisms in all of these quotes. Like there are these other pieces of terminology that we haven't been explaining this episode. We wouldn't have time. So there's going to be stuff in those quotes that if you're new to Swedenborg, that's confusing. That's fine. You can just leave it. We can get back to it another time. For now, the important thing to take away from that is that it's at the end, it said how we're receptive to them. So if we start to get into these more evil states of mind, we start to perceive God or love as this negative thing, when really God's face doesn't change. God is always smiling or sympathetic, trying to help people. Right? So that was this Adam and Eve hiding, is not because God was mad, but because they started to feel this repulsion because of what they were letting in.